So the brand Dossier has done it again. They just released their version of a really popular designer fragrance that got tons and tons of hype last year in 2024. And for those of you who don't know, Dossier makes impressions or inspirations of more popular designer and niche fragrances at a fraction of the cost. And this is the newest one, or one of the newest ones. It's called Gourmand Vanilla. I'm excited to give you my thoughts on this fragrance in just a little bit, so make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin today's episode and I give you my thoughts on this latest Dossier fragrance, or at least latest one as far as my acquisition of it is concerned, I do want to start the video off first by saying that if you're a fan of fragrance-related content, and of course, if you love smelling your best, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and give this video a thumbs up. It would really, really mean a lot to me. So, of course, with the name Gourmand Vanilla, this is going to be a vanilla-based fragrance, and there's a lot of vanilla in here. As a matter of fact, I love how every fragrance comes with one of these cards on the inside that kind of detail or delineate the concentration with the exact percentage, by the way, the notes, the inspiration, their mission statement, all of that stuff is on here. So I really like the transparency of the brand. And of course, this one is inspired by Tom Ford's Vanilla, you know what. So what are the notes? Almond, ginger, a milky accord in the top. In the heart, you have coconut, ylang-ylang, jasmine, and orange flowers. So you do have a bit of a floral personality happening there. In the dry down, you have the namesake of this inspiration, which is vanilla, also sandalwood, caramel, and tonka bean. And I'm sure that the sandalwood contributes in large part to that milky accord in the opening. But there's also this sort of hint of sweetness that's found in a lot of sandalwood ingredients. And of course, this one is very gourmand leaning. But the question is, what is the influence of the floral notes and what is the influence of the ginger and, you know, maybe a bit of that spice that's happening in the opening? So I think all of these are thoughtful considerations. Nevertheless, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on this fragrance in just a little bit. Let's start things off with a quick look at the presentation first. So let's go ahead and talk about the smell. And with that being said, let me remind myself, wow, that's a strong atomizer. So this is a very smooth, creamy, sweet, and milky vanilla fragrance. And of course, with that being said, I mean, it makes total sense, right? This is a gourmand vanilla perfume, and that's the name of the perfume, but it is quite gourmand, right? So the vanilla is quite powerful in this fragrance. Almond contributes a little bit to the sweetness as well. Caramel and tonka bean contribute to the sweetness as well, but that's really it, right? As far as the other notes are concerned, ylang-ylang, jasmine, orange flower, ginger, those are not going to make it sweet, but it's really and predominantly the tonka bean, the caramel, and of course the vanilla in the dry down. And this is a trend that's happening in a lot of perfumes, and I think they nailed it right on the money. This is a milky gourmand vanillic DNA that we've seen in a lot of fragrances, let's be honest. Bianco Latte by Giardini di Toscana. We also have Lataffa Eclair. We have Cream Velvet by Cadlage. We have Vanilla Eclat by Navitus Parfum. We have so many milky, creamy, lactonic, vanillic fragrances. And this is another one to add to the list. And I can tell why this fragrance is so popular. It is so addictive. If you're a fan of gourmands, you're going to love this one. If you don't like gourmands, pass. You're not going to enjoy this one because it is quite sweet, right? But I like the fact that it's an elevated type of sweetness. It's a mature type of sweetness. In other words, it doesn't smell ultra confectionery. So there isn't like this cotton candy nuance about it. It doesn't smell like sugar cubes. It doesn't smell like, you know, I don't know. What else is juvenile? There's a lot of sweet ingredients that make it smell a little bit too youthful, right? Catering to a younger demographic. But this is a very sort of, and I gotta hit that atomizer again. This is a very sweet, yet elevated gourmand experience, which I really enjoy. And you're gonna get the same exact thing from the original. So of course, for those of you who don't know, in perfumery, there's a method by which you can reverse engineer the olfactive profile of a perfume. It's called GCMS, which stands for gas chromatography mass spectrometry. You put a little bit of liquid of the perfume that you're trying to emulate into this one very sophisticated piece of machinery. It spits a formula out, and as long as you have access to the ingredients, you can recreate it almost to a T. And this one smells very similar to the original after which it's modeled. And I say that because I smell it in the air and it conjures up the same memories, right? It's that olfactory blueprint that is etched into the mental ribcage of your psyche, as it were. So I'm smelling this and I'm like, yeah, it smells like the Tom Ford counterpart, and it brings it super, super, super close. Nevertheless, I think this is a beautiful vanilla scent, but you have to be a fan of vanilla, right? So that's the caveat here, and I'll keep repeating it. If you're not a fan of gourmands, then this is clearly one that you can forego. There are so many offerings from this brand, original creations, inspirations. I own a number of them. I've been acquiring Dossier fragrances for so many years now, and I will say that they do bring it very, very close to the original, and this one is no exception. If you're a fan of spicy, coconutty, milky vanilla scents with a hint of caramel, nothing overly salty, and just creamy, velvety blonde woods in the dry down, namely sandalwood, Gourmand Vanilla is one that you definitely need to check out, especially if you like the original and you don't want to spend hundreds of dollars. It's kind of a no-brainer. Let's go ahead and finish things off with my overall assessment. So first up, as far as the uniqueness and the overall smell is concerned, it's an inspiration. So we're not dealing with uniqueness here, but they brought it very close to the original, and the original does embody a mass appealing DNA. No rough edges. There's nothing overly complex or, boundary pushing with it. It's a very sort of acclimating DNA, a very genial DNA. And it's one that it's addictive, right? It's a gourmand. Vanilla is said to be an aphrodisiac. So, I have not met too many people who have an aversion to the smell of vanilla. As far as the taste is concerned, they might opt for chocolate, but that's a different story. But as far as smell is concerned, it just smells delightful. As far as the longevity of this one goes, you're going to get in the vein of 8 hours, I think I got on my skin. It's concentrated at 20%, which as far as traditional standards are concerned, that's an eau de parfum. So this one does last a fair amount on skin projection at an arm's length for the first hour and a half of application. And then of course it became an elbow's length scent right around hour 6, a skin scent right around hour 8. Versatility, not for the office. So this is one I would wear on a date night, on a night out with friends, if you're going to a party or a club or a bar, nightlife type vibes, I think this one is perfect for that. And I think this one will cater to any demographic, male, female, anybody of any age. Like I said, even the sweetness is not, juvenile to the point where I would say, this is something, like if it were something like an Ariana Grande Cloud, I would say, okay, this is great for like a high schooler or an early college student or something like that. But this is a very elevated gourmand experience, so I can't say that. And as far as the presentation is concerned, quite minimalist. I've given you my thoughts on the presentation any number of times in my previous videos, but it keeps the costs low, and I think that's something that we appreciate. But we see there's been, obviously we have the magnetic cap, which is great. You can pick it up from the cap, but we see there's been a huge improvement to the atomizers, which is really, really cool. I might make this my scent of the day tomorrow. This is really nice. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining me. That was my review of Gourmand Vanilla by Dossier, which is their take on Tom Ford's vanilla, you-know-what. If you took anything of value from this review, I would really appreciate it if you would consider supporting the channel by clicking subscribe, hitting the bell, and giving this video a thumbs up. It really means a lot to me. And also share your experience with this fragrance, with this brand, and even the original after which this is modeled. Drop your comment down below. I always love the interaction. Thanks again for watching. I love you all, and we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. Bye.